Hello everyone, I would like to welcome you to this session which is all about serverless technology and the flexibility it offers to the businesses and the developers. My name is Nelly Sattari. I am the tech lead of a development team based in Sydney and I am a Microsoft Azure MVP. Let me tell you about the agenda for today. First of all, I'm going to talk about what serverless is and why do we need it. Second, we are going to discuss the productive integration model that we can get from serverless, in particular Azure Functions. And then I will walk you through a demo to show you how we can go from an idea to the production so quickly with using Azure Functions and some cloud services and such. As you see, here is the most important question. Why do we need serverless? Well, if your service or function is not constantly used by your customers, or if your website has spontaneous visitors, why do you need to pay for long-running VMs every day? Alternatively, you can go for a consumption plan and just pay for the execution time. Fast speed to the market is what Agile is seeking for. You can focus on building your idea without spending that much time on server configurations and extra activities around it to get faster to the market. However, I need to emphasize that serverless doesn't mean that there is no server. In fact, when a customer requests your service, a container will be spinning up, running your code, and will be dropped off afterwards. Another reason where I personally do care about it is the flexibility that developers can benefit to increase their efficiency and production lead time. Developers can find the flexibility by choosing their language of choice. One end-to-end solution can be built using various languages including Java, JavaScript, C#, Python, or even PowerShell. Also, developers get a significant flexibility by using Azure Function core tool, which helps all the way from building and testing a serverless solution locally to publishing your functions to the Azure. Here is a quick demo to show you how you can use Azure Function core tool. You can initialize your function by choosing your language and solution structure. Then you can create a new function and identify triggers and output bindings. To execute your function, you just need to start it and then you get back the endpoint to hit your function locally. Eventually, you can publish your function to Azure using all your local environment settings. The last but not the least is the magic of serverless integration. Azure Function came up with a productive programming model which consists of triggers and bindings. Triggers are basically what cause a function to run, and binding is how a function connects to the other functions in order to pass and receive data. Here is the list of Azure resources which shows whether you can use them as triggers or binding. Let me show you the integration capabilities that Azure Functions provided by using a demo. Some of you might know that I'm interested in IT conferences, especially the ones which are inclusive, informative, with lots of fun activities. They are a great playground to connect to your peers in the industry and talk to other people. However, some people who are a bit shy and not comfortable to connect to other people, they cannot really leverage this opportunity. They just stand in the corner of the room. So sometimes I feel how I can help with this problem because I'm personally an extrovert person, so I don't have problem talking and connecting to other people. Well, I started building a quick, simple application as a POC to assist the attendees to open the discussion and break the ice. Let me show you how it works. I'm going to scan the QR code to get into the web application. Then you need to click on Choose File and either upload the file or take a selfie of yourself. You need to put your name and broadcast the attributes to all connected people in the conference, so they can see your details and they can find you based on your physical characteristics. Feel free to get hands-on and try the demo. Also, for your privacy, the images will be teared down every night through a schedule Azure function. On the front-end side, which is Vue.js application, Once user upload the image, it will be populated into the blob storage, and then you will get back the URL. After that, you can trigger the face detect function and pass the image into that. The function makes a call to the AI endpoint we just created. Once the image is analyzed, the response will be handed into SignalR service using output binding, and then it will be broadcasted to all connected users. I'm going to show you how it works under the hood. Azure Cognitive Service is an AI-based face recognition service that I use to analyze the pictures. You can easily create it by logging to your Azure portal and looking for Cognitive Service. Once you add the face recognition, you get back the API key and endpoint to use it in the front end. And finally, the Azure SignalR service, which is a managed service to broadcast the messages to the connected users based on WebSocket protocol. To create it, you can either run an Azure CLI command or create it through Azure portal. You can get the connection strings and all the other details about your SignalR service. I can show you the actual function to make more sense what's going on. Every JavaScript function comes with a JS file, which is the body of the function, and a configuration JSON file managing the output and input bindings. On the screen, you can see the first binding shows the function is triggered by HTTP webhook. That's why the direction is input, which means the function is gonna be invoked and called by using an API post method. And the output binding shows us that the response will be handed over to SignalR service. Here is the body of our face detect function. I stored the API key and endpoint into my local variables that I can ship them directly into the Azure portal. Then I need to tell the Azure AI service to analyze my image based on the attributes that I'm passing to. For example, the attributes like the glasses, the age, smile, and such. At the end, I'm calling the AI endpoint exactly like I'm calling an API. Once I get back the response, I'm going to shape a new parameter and variable to pass it to the Azure SignalR service. It includes the message that I get from the AI service and a client event listener, which is a method in the front end which listens to the server. Once you publish your function, you can find it in the Azure portal. Here you can run and test your function in the portal. And you can see all the configurations and variables that you stored locally. Feel free to take a peek at my weblog where I covered more details on Serverless and Azure Functions. I hope you enjoyed this session, and thanks for joining and listening to me. Have a nice one.